Facebook. Welcome to Music Firsthand. My name is Becky Jo Neal.
I'm Luis Flandes.
Yes, and we're here live from the studio with some very important guests. You may recognize one of them, but before we get to that, we'd like to thank our sponsors here, Austin Eastsiders.
And
Bless
Fourth
you.
Tap Brewery.
Last week we were at Austin Eastsiders with the incredible Pocket Sounds. So if you have time, check that out on Facebook. An excellent interview.
Give it a like.
Give it a like, a share, whatever the kids do nowadays.
And I'm drinking the Can You Dig It from Fourth Tap. Really good, tasty. I don't know why it's named that, though.
Honestly, the art on it is the best. It's super. It matches great beer for great can. That's what Fourth Tap does. Would you like to introduce our guest tonight, Luis?
I would. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Bo Depeña, everybody.
Woo!
Won't you paint me some lips? 'Cause I can't seem to smile. Paint a big old red nose. Help me go out in style. And after the beer stops, won't you paint me some teardrops and a permanent frown? Won't you paint me a clown? And I'll put on some shoes that are red as the blues, and a big baggy suit with some polka dots too. An umbrella that makes it rain, and a horn like a hurricane, 'cause I'm the fool you let down. Won't you paint me a clown? I bet you had a good laugh on the day that you left, but I laughed till I cried, 'cause you left such a mess. Guess I'll run far away from home with the freaks and the circus bums in the fun house of lost and found. Won't you paint me a clown? Won't you paint me some lips? 'Cause I can't seem to smile. Paint a big old red nose. Help me go out in style. And after the beer stops, won't you paint me some teardrops and a permanent frown? Won't you paint me a clown? 'Cause I'm the fool you let down. Won't you paint me a clown?
Ladies and gentlemen, keep it going for Bo Depeña and our friend Ben Levy.
Hey,
I'm
guys.
so excited.
Yeah.
I've been stoked about this show for a minute, mostly because Ben always you guys don't ever get to see the glares he shoots me during the show. Some like evil. It was mostly when we had the lapel mics, and I would piss him off every week by clutching my pearls and smacking my.
You've been a much more better friend to me
Yeah.
when we didn't have the lapels.
It's
That's
true.
for sure.
Our relationship has since been better. So now the world can see his judgy glazes. Now that's what we're gonna get.
Now you can judge him.
Yes. Oh, payback. It's true. Retribution. I got all sweaty just thinking about that. I was like, payback. What am I gonna do? Like set him on fire on camera? Bo, would you like to talk us like where you're from, how you found music, how long have you been playing music?
Yeah, so I grew up in Laredo, Texas, on the border of Mexico.
Solid.
And found my way eventually in San Antonio and then Austin, New York City for a little while, and now I live out in Colorado. Cool. But yeah, I remember being 7 years old and I was watching Elvis Presley in black and white on my parents' television. And he was doing his old thing, gyrating his
Classy.
hips, and the girls were yelling, and I was like, "Yeah, I can do that."
I want to do that.
I want that to be my job. So my mom went out and bought like a $45 nylon string guitar, like classical style guitar, and that's kind of the first music I ever learned was actually like flamenco style classical guitar. You know,
sick.
malagueña.
As if I weren't sweaty before.
That's spicy. That's spicy right there.
Yeah, you know, but obviously, being that Elvis was the first to kind of inspire it, eventually I found my way to blues and rock and roll music. And the more I've grown older and kind of experienced traveling the country and had my own share of heartbreaks and experiences to that effect, it's like, for whatever reason, Americana, folk, and country music started to really speak to me, and I grew into that. So
Yeah, you were like, I get those feels.
Yeah.
I too have those feels. That's
Exactly right.
amazing. As far as like influences, like Elvis, obviously, but like growing up in the South, taking your music to the East Coast and then taking it to Colorado, have you found like a sort of like almost like accent to your music?
yeah, oddly enough, my music became more colloquial to like growing up in South Texas than it was when I left Texas. Like when I left, I still had a little bit more of the, you know, classic rock, even hard rock thing going on. You know, everybody goes through their phases. But when I got to New York, the one thing that I started to learn was how much I appreciated where I'm from. You know, Laredo has a very unique culture. So I started kind of dabbling with artists like Freddie Fender, who's like probably the most famous Hispanic country guy
I
ever.
was just about to ask you about that.
Yeah, so Freddie Fender and the Texas Tornadoes and some of the what they called
I
conjunto
always
rock
see
and
him
roll.
on that water tower.
Yep.
Driving through whatever.
San Benito.
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Freddie That's
Yeah.
like is that his real? Please be his real name.
I don't
It's-
think.
no, it's his-
No, it's
It's
definitely
his
not
real name now.
Well, he's put on the water tower.
but he's
as
like the
Freddie
first
Fender.
rock star to come from the Valley or South
Yeah,
Texas.
and he had big hits in the 1960s, I think, and then eventually joined the Texas Tornadoes, and they got huge. And that kind of spirit of, you know, blending different styles really spoke a lot to me because, I mean, there's mariachi in there. They had Flaco Jimenez on the accordion, and I thought that stuff was it was folk music coming together in this really interesting way. Country, blues, rock and roll, Tejano, it just all merged with the band like the Texas Tornadoes. And I guess the more I grew older, because, you know, growing up in high school, when you're playing music, you're not always the coolest dude, you know? We're kind of like nerdy dudes that were picked on by all
Dude,
the
I
other
play
folks.
violin, man. Let me tell you, let me tell you about that. Let me tell you about
He's
that.
like, talk about nerdy instruments.
Yeah, well,
you play the shit out of that violin, sir. Come on.
and, you know, I guess I left Laredo in high school having a little bit of resentment, like, to my hometown. And then when I started living in New York and started kind of experiencing different cultures all around the country, I started understanding how unique a place it was that I grew up and how fortunate I was to have that experience.
And you miss the
So-
tacos and everything.
And the tacos, oh yeah.
Ooh.
Oof.
I feel like every place feels like they've invented tacos, and I talk a lot of smack on
Talk a
Texas.
lot.
Like Texas thinks that they invented everything, but they definitely tacos are better here. It's true.
South Texas, man.
It's the tea. That's the tea. As far as like your influences, like does your like family? Obviously, your mom got you your first guitar. Like, is your family musical? Did you grow up in that
No
environment?
musical background in my family.
The only one.
I think as far as I knew, my mom played a little bit of piano growing up, and my sister played a little bit of piano, but then nothing ever seriously. So they did kind of look at me with those eyes of what? What do you want to do
Where
with
did
your
that
life?
come from?
Like, what are you thinking?
Are you kidding? My parents are lawyers. I told them I was going to be an actor. That
Oh,
was a
right,
cute
yeah.
conversation. How did you guys meet and make music together?
That's an interesting story. So we have a friend of ours, a mutual friend named Colin McDonald from Austin.
Shut up.
Shout out to Colin
Colin
McDonald,
McDonald.
great musician as well. And he, I think I put a Facebook post up because I needed to play a wedding out in Baton Rouge that was paying a whole bunch of money for me to like put a ensemble together, and I needed a fiddle player, and he shouted out to this guy, and that's how we got to know each other. And
I
played.
fiddle with the fiddle.
Yeah, I fiddle
yeah,
around
yeah.
every now and then. Yeah, and then he called me one day. He was
Dad
like, "Hey, I'm
joke.
playing this wedding in Baton Rouge. Do you want to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I could do that." And then, man, that was forever ago.
Yeah, we had a hell of a time though.
And-
That was a good one.
Yeah, and now we just keep doing it.
Yep.
How long have you been playing like Euro music? And I guess like, how long have you guys been playing together?
It's been almost.
4 years almost.
Well, I've been in Austin for 4 years, so just under that.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause
Yep.
He was one of the first people I linked up with when I got here.
My first 2 albums, I think Ben just had like a quick cameo on my second record, and then was fully involved by the time I was doing my third record. And then he produced my most recent one, Montana Sky, and played fiddle on it. So we kind of grew as artists together. You know, often you're shooting up to people that you'd be, you know, I guess people that have been producing for a long time, but Ben and I kind of grew as artists together in this town. So it was kind of special to have him on that record that way because we knew each other. I mean, by the time we got into the studio, this guy could read my mind. Like he knew where I wanted to take a song.
Yeah.
And like,
And it's easier that way because he did mention it. Like when you grow together, the music you make is just easier
Yeah.
to make it because it's like he said. I knew what he was gonna say before he said it. He knows the licks I'm about to play. I can follow his guitar without him having to say it. So it's easier for us to just play.
we can
write
critique
gigs.
each other without getting too butthurt by
Yeah.
anything. So
It's
You
a
know
very
the
honest.
language.
It's a very
Yeah.
honest
Yeah.
relationship
so-
that we've built up over the years because he can be like, man, that was not a good note you played.
You
there.
have to be
Don't
honest
do
with
that."
each other.
Yeah.
there was one song in there where you kept trying to do that harmony line, and we're like, Ben, I don't know
Yeah.
what you're hearing in there. but, like,
Man, we tried for way too long to do it too,
Yeah,
and
it
it
was
just
like,
doesn't.
no.
Yeah, but that's the kind of honesty you need to make
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
to make it successful.
Well, it's not truly collaborative if, you know, people aren't actually sharing honest opinions.
Yeah.
It's just going to be like some cluster of a bad, you know, like a terrible like mudslide of just bullshit if nobody actually opens up and it's like the harmony was shit.
you got to be
Take your
challenged.
stuff home.
That's it. You just got to
Yeah.
challenge each other to like put out the best product you can. And you know, he was hard on me in the vocal booth. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, because
He would be.
He's talented, as we all can hear, but he's also. I mean, everybody's their own worst critic,
Yeah.
but Bo almost. And I've said this to him before, so it's not going to get awkward. But like to a fault, Bo is his own worst critic all the time, and he would kill himself in a booth when I'm like, man, we got it like.
It's
3
perfect.
or
Yeah.
4 hours ago. Like we can be done
Let's do
here.
a couple more.
Let's move on.
One
And
more
he's like,
for
one more.
safety.
I'm like, yeah. And that's the famous line. One more for safety.
Yeah.
You know the lingo.
Okay, one
Bam.
more.
She's all
It's
about it.
almost like we do this.
Sometimes the comics in San Antonio, they have like a little dig at you. They're just like, work on your set, bro. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like a dig, but they're just like, they kind of want
Yeah.
you to do like, oh, just it could be better.
Yeah. Like I
Well,
know
they
you're
mean
better.
well, right?
Yeah.
Like, they want you to
But
succeed. And
half,
Because if they didn't, they'd be
that
like,
and
great
half they're like
job.
digging at you.
being that
Yeah.
it's a comedian, like I'm sure,
Yeah.
or being comedians, you gotta get used to that. I'm sure. So
Half of our job is getting pissed on.
By
It's kind of
other
the point.
comedians.
By other comedians, yeah.
It's kind of the point. What was making an album together like? You guys made 2 albums together, right?
yeah, we worked pretty
It's
much.
like our 2.5.
2.5 ish,
Aw.
yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as like Ben being really hands on with the project, I'd say the last 2 were definitely the most. Yeah, this one, I mean, Ben did a good job. Ben is really good about letting the creative process kind of just take place. But as soon as there's something sour, he'll be like, "Well, what was that?" Like, I don't like. We have to.
That was
revisit
actually a
that
really
or,
good Ben impression. Yep.
Yeah,
What was that?
that is Ben do it too.
Right again?
Yeah. What?
This last one was really interesting though because the first record we really worked together. We lived here. Bo was just down the street, and I was just down the street, so it was easy for us to interact. Well, this one he lived in Colorado, and I obviously live in Austin, so it was a lot of Google Docs and a lot of texts and phone calls and check out this YouTube and
Yeah.
this is what we're trying to go for. So we ended up like being in the same room to talk about the record until we were making the record.
You were in a long distance relationship.
We
Pretty
were,
much,
yeah,
yeah.
which is kind of interesting
Aw.
because
That's
it's
sweet.
I said all like 5 times.
Yeah.
No.
but it's just an interesting way to make a record because so much of it nowadays is like tactile and like working through things together and trying this part and maybe we rearrange or maybe you play this thing here, but when you're that far away and our bassist lived in Bernie and our drummer now lives in Houston, like it's just a lot of hopefully everybody knows their shit.
There
'cause
was
we're gonna come
there was
together.
something cool about that.
prepared.
I mean, having the I guess a time crunch to kind of say like, hey, you got to churn out a product. It kind of you almost
We had 5
remove
days.
some inhibitions, and you just kind of say, let's do this, let's do that, and
Yeah, deadlines are like either the bane of your existence as an artist or the only thing that gets your shit done.
Exactly.
For you.
Yeah, I think
One of
it
my
almost feels
mentors,
pretty good.
sorry man, one of my mentors back in LA said something that is there's no finished products, only deadlines. Like
Yeah.
you've got 5 days to make a record. At the end of that 5 days, here's your record.
I
You
can
know what I mean?
imagine, you just keep going and creating something
Oh, yeah.
until, you drop dead. you
Yeah.
know. So just got to put a timeline on it.
Do you guys want to sing another song?
We could sing
Sure.
another song.
Okay.
Yeah.
could.
This one my buddy wrote, and then I helped him tweak some lyrics and stuff like that. He sent me a line that was, loving you would be like heaven. I'd have one hell of a time letting you go. And I really liked that. So we decided to throw this one on the record. And this one goes out to my buddy Noel Sanchez, who's in Laredo, Texas. He helped write this one with me. And this is what they like to refer to as a country cha-cha or a cowboy cha-cha. It's got some Freddie Fender feels to it.
All right.
Yeah.
Luis is in.
I'm strapped in.
All right. Your smile, your eyes, oh, what they do to me. Your skin, your lips, the sugar between your teeth. But this is not like me at all. While I am strong, I'm still carrying a load that'll make most any man cry. 'Cause loving you would be like heaven. I'd have one hell of a time letting you go. Loving you would be like heaven. I'd have one hell of a time letting you go. What I would give just to be close to you, but I have no words when you come walking through, and you feel like an angel above. While I am strong, it's just never enough. But what if I could just make you mine? 'Cause loving you would be like heaven. I'd have one hell of a time letting you go. Loving you would be like heaven. I'd have one hell of a time letting you go. Loving you would be like heaven. I'd have one hell of a time letting you go. Loving you would be like heaven. I'd have one hell of a time letting you go. I'd have one hell of a time letting you go.
Aw. Gotta have that button. Keep it
All right.
going, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out, just a reminder, Facebook friends and viewers, you can ask us questions. So if you would
Ask
like
us
to ask
fan
these
questions.
two, yeah, come on. Speak up. You're on Facebook talking crap about politics anyway.
Use us to ask
yeah.
them questions. We ask
We'll do that.
questions through us.
We'll do
Channel your
that for
questions
you.
through
Yes.
Yes.
comedians.
Thank you. And we also have a is our VIP guest here? Is he here? Airbnb VIP? Nicholas? No? Well, oh, hey, shout out. Okay, I was supposed to say that at the beginning, and I'm so sorry, but thank you for joining us. You just worked on an album. Do you want to talk about what's on that album, what you're
Yeah.
sort of moving with that album?
So I'd say the first half of it is a lot of new material. I was inspired to kind of kick things into gear after the fires that were raging in Montana last year. And it got me writing a song called Montana Sky. And, I was kind of thinking about my friends and fans. I play up through Montana and Idaho, Wyoming, that whole area. So when the big fires were going on last year, I was kind of, obviously concerned. There was a lot of my friends in Helena that were affected by it. So I just was kind of like, so I dedicated a song to them, and that kind of kicked everything into gear. But really at that point, I had like 5 songs that I really liked, new ones. And then a cover song that I knew I wanted to do, a song by my friend Georgia Parker, and then some old songs that were like kind of in my back catalog that just never made their way onto records, even though I had liked them a whole lot and decided
B-sides.
to. Yeah, B-sides. That basically were just undeveloped. We had tried them on a couple of previous records, and it just never really came out well. We didn't get the groove, and they really came together on this one. So it's nice to raise some of those old songs from the dead,
What is the most different, I guess, about it from your other albums? Obviously, other than getting to... Whoop.
Hey, pup.
Chief of Security Matcha. It's a squirrel, y'all.
It's okay.
I guess, what is there something, every album is kind of like a child, like
To be honest, I think the thing that most differentiated this one is how many live takes we had of myself and the band together. One of the things that I would really like to accomplish as an artist is to get my vocals and my performance to a place where, pretty much the song you hear is the song the take we took. And we did about 7 out of 10 songs like that on this record.
Wow.
So it's definitely getting that point. And I honestly think probably the thing that's most different to me is just the maturity in the vocals and the way the playing feels. So felt like a real record, to me. Not that the other ones weren't. But.
Yeah. From my perspective, not being the songwriter, but I think this one has a better range of songs. The last couple records have been pretty straightforward Americana, a little bit of bluegrass here, a little bit of this kind of. But these are different songs somehow. They're a little bit more like there's depth to them, which makes the record as a whole kind of have a lot more depth, which is really great. And I told him when he wrote a couple of these songs and showed it to me, like, these are the best songs lyrically he's come up with. So I think that just elevates right off the bat. You're already starting with a better product, so it's just going to be a better record.
Right. It's like you're maturing with your talent, like your literal vocal. It's a muscle. It's a grouping of, it's a body part. You work it out like everything else, and to work out your songwriting skills at the same time. Oh.
Yeah, I was listening to the album on the way over here. Solid vocals, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Straight up.
Thank you.
Yeah, well,
Got a radio voice.
And,
Whoa.
and I'd always had like that deep talking voice, and a lot of times on the previous records when I'd sing, like it would shoot up, and you'd get this a little bit more of a tinny style timbre to it. But I guess I'm learning to actually allow my talking voice to project itself in song, and it took a long time, but it's getting there.
I need to do that. I hate listening to my voice and everything. I'm just,
I don't
things
think
you
that'll
do with
ever
your
change.
voice
but
and
if
you're
I went
nervous.
up to the guy, to the stage, and I was like, "Hey, these are my jokes," I think I'd
That's
be
what I
more
do.
comfortable, but I don't think it would be as funny.
Don't
on
translate
stage.
that well.
There is something commanding about going like, yeah,
Yeah.
Hey.
hey.
Welcome to music firsthand.
But man, to speak to that, we talked about it a little bit as Bo and I working together. But the engineer on this record, Charlie Kramsky,
Yeah.
you can shout out Charlie Kramsky.
Charlie
But
Craft.
bam.
Name drop.
He and myself and Bo have worked together on the past 3 records. And I
Charlie's
think
been on
even
every
record that Bo's ever done. So just the point of them working together, Charlie already knows what Bo sounds like, so he knows what mics are going to be good. He knows what the vibe is going to be in the studio. And then again, because I've been working with it, just makes everybody's job easier.
Yeah.
And then the last night you go into the studio, we've already done this 3 times. We don't have to overthink it.
I think that there's something like really wonderful about finding a team that you trust of
Yeah.
people. That's incredibly valuable, and I think when I was just starting music, I don't think I would have understood the process of growing with individuals and yourself as an artist. You know, you kind of see the rock star myth, right? And you think like, oh, well, it's gonna happen at this age or at this time. And the more I've matured into my own music and having guys like Ben and Charlie around on every record, and even a lot of the musicians that are on the record on every record, you're watching yourselves grow, and you're watching yourselves kind of get out in front of more and more people, and that's the exciting thing about music. And I don't think it's ever too late for anybody to actually like learn the business of it, really kind of start to put themselves out there. And
Right. That's what the city is so great. I mean, like in the sense that all these musicians and creators can get together and find their own in this huge industry here. You can find your pockets and find the people that you collaborate the best with, and find your team. Sort of find your like core cell unit, and then create
me
that
living
way.
in Colorado, I mean, this is where my team is, so I have no problem hopping a plane and coming down here when I need to and getting projects done. I mean, Austin treated me very well and has given me long-lasting friendships and relationships with great musicians down here. So, yeah, I love coming back.
Where are you going to go next after Colorado? Do you have any plans?
He's coming back to Austin.
Coming back.
He'll come back to Austin.
He's like, I'm done with this long
already
distance
bought
shit.
I already bought his ticket. He's coming
Yeah,
back.
he's coming back.
Ben's like, he's moving in. Give me a baby. No.
I rented the U-Haul.
It's been 4 years. Where's my ring? There we go.
The next record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
No plans to like go anywhere else. You're just chilling in Colorado for a minute. You got to
There's-
wait for it.
I'm going to keep it to myself. But let's say
Ooh,
that there are people pulling me in directions of various mountain states
Oh, there
further
we go.
north.
There are mountains in a lot of states.
Yeah.
Someone's like,
Western mountain states.
I get that like meme of Charlie Day, like with all the papers and stuff, just like pointing with all the like the words, like we're gonna figure out where he's going.
You talking about Pepe Sylvia? You talking about Pepe Sylvia?
I don't know, man. I just use the GIF because I don't know what I'm
All right,
talking
fine.
about. See what I'm talking about, people? So mean to
Don't
me.
dive too deep into
Ooh,
the reference.
we have a fan question.
Oh, fan questions.
I love when Chris is like, question. And he like points at me. It's like the nicest,
at your
like,
phone.
yes. Ooh, where are we going? Oh, those are the wrong things. I'm a millennial and I don't use my phone. Come on. Well, while this,
try
ooh,
to.
from Brian Wolf. Oh, hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
He's
Hey,
literally
Brian.
7 feet away from me.
Hey, man, we take questions?
This one is for Benjamin Allen Levy.
Oh.
This is Bo's show, guy.
No.
go.
This is the Ben and
It
Bo
was
show.
never about Bo.
Buddy
This has
Bo
all been
and
a
Buddy
secret
Ben.
club.
Buddy Ben, exactly.
What's it like to be out sound man by a kid from Indiana? There, I said it. Hashtag conflict.
Oh, we put a hashtag in there too.
All right, cool.
Hold on, I'm gonna hang back with
Cool.
my
Oh.
East Sider.
Dang.
Yeah, right? There we go.
Yeah.
What do you do when you're in trouble? Sip some tea.
Well, I'll sip our East Ciders. I
East
guess
Cider,
that's
look,
all
I
we're going
got
to
it.
do. I'm going to sip some of this
Shade.
pineapple East Cider and hang my head in shame, I guess. Thanks, Brian.
That was like the one
Appreciate it.
time we had the
You've
kid
been
on.
Yeah.
Who's
the kid on?
going to work on your next record, I wonder? Who's going to get that done?
Shots fired.
I'm just kidding.
I guess in a weird way, it's kind of like, hey Ben, I want you to produce my record. Charlie's at the helm.
But hey, honestly, for the real though, I do want to shout out Brett Winning because he
Yes.
shows up with us and gives us a good hand, and we always appreciate the help. So
He really
Thank you,
is
Brett.
lovely.
I appreciate
And
it.
he has glorious hair.
He does.
He always has like a really good solid hat. Like all of your hat choices are dope. Those are my
I
observations.
could never grow a beard like that. Like, look, I don't even connect. Hey, you got you're
I don't
with
get
me,
it
man.
right here, and then right here, not at all. But
See, but we're Latino. That's what it is, man. It's
It just like stays
Yeah.
in the top. I have the problem with the coverage on the neck. I never get good neck beard.
You never get that
Is
good
it the
neared?
Spaniard?
No,
Do you
I
have-
want a
do
neck
you have
beard.
Spaniard in you? Because
Spaniard.
mine grows right here. Like I can grow that out like a conquistador.
Dude, I'm sure. Yeah, like a conquistador, like Cortez. Like
and then I
that,
can
yeah.
curl out the mustache
Dude.
like so hard.
Those
but-
always
You
look
just
so
need one of those
sharp.
hats, like the iron
The
hats.
metal,
Yes, yeah. Oh,
getting
I just
Louise a
gave her an
hat.
idea. This is the name.
Going away present.
Right? So what is your songwriting process like? Are you like a music first, lyrics later, lyrics first, music later kind of person?
Usually in my head, it starts off as kind of like a melody and a chord progression, and then the lyrics will start to flow depending on whatever topic is running through my head at the time. They kind of go together. It's rare that I don't know. I'm one of those people that the music making process for me shouldn't be difficult. Like the song should come, and if it's not coming and I'm forcing it, to me it's never gonna work.
Right.
Maybe a song like that I could sell to somebody, but as far as like having that connection with me as a performer, it's got to really flow. So typically I'll finish a song like that first sit down I have with it, and if I don't, then it's usually chucked. With the exception of Paint Me a Clown. That was an interesting one. That I actually got the idea for on an airplane. I remember, I think I had just gone through a bad breakup and I was hungover and I was traveling somewhere.
Well, it's
and
the worst.
Yeah, it's not
worst place
fun.
to be hungover.
Yeah,
Airplane.
airplanes, it's terrible. And I'm sure I smelled terrible and people knew it. They're like, this guy's drunk.
Everybody knows you're hungover on a plane.
Yeah, it's easy to
There's
tell.
no moving air in that bitch. We all know.
You know. And if you fall asleep or something, you're like the only one farting in like the 4 rows.
Oh no! One time for my trip back from Vegas, this guy was taking off his shoes
Nope,
and like
nope,
socks.
no.
I'm not cool with that.
And
Canceled.
Later on in the flight, he got like a Charlie horse and was like, "Oh!" And
Kicking
I was
you?
like,
Was he like-
No, he just got it like in his seat to himself. But I was like, "This is what
If you
you
start,
get."
I was thinking he would like
It's what
start
you
spaz out and like.
Right, like
kicking
your
the
lack of
person
vitamin
next to
C
him.
is ain't nobody's
Nah,
problem on this plane but you.
He just bit his lip and took it.
So it was weird. So I was sitting there hungover, and I was like, so I got the idea for this song, and I kind of had like trapeze and stuff in my mind, and you feel like a fool after you get broken up with, and so that concept just kind of came out, and I wrote like 3 or 4 lines to it, and I left it in my notebook, and one morning I woke up to my morning coffee, and sometimes you're in that early morning mental space where things are just flowing. And I was like, I can finish this. Like, I got this. And it kept coming. So that's one of the rare exceptions where I put a song down and find it and
Picked it back up.
And picked it back up.
I was going to ask about that because when you said, like, paint me some lips, I was like, that's what I say to myself when I put my face on. Am I going to paint my lips on next to the brows? Before that, they were non-existent.
Yep.
Paint them on. That was what I was. I mean, I didn't get breakup. I was thinking.
I think there's
Is
some,
there a stencil that you use like.
And it was just one big stamp. It's just like.
that would be
walk
really
out.
convenient, actually.
Honestly?
See, that's your $1 million right there.
Dang it. We were talking about $1 million inventions before. We had like a whole pre-show. Basically, the only people who got to see it were the crew and the VIPs. So that's why you should get a VIP ticket to our show. Low plug. Is there the major difference between performing in Austin and performing all over the world? Like I think your bio said 22 states and 65 cities.
Yeah, so I did 102 shows last year.
Damn.
And I'm on target to hit about 125 this year. So keeping it rolling. And I think that the big thing about it is, I loved my time in Austin. I very much grew as an artist when I was in town. There is a saturation issue. There's a lot of us. And that kind of makes musicians to some degree a commodity.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've learned is there's so much of America out there that I'm not going to say is uncharted, but there are beautiful little gems in the middle of nowhere that you go, and the vibe that you get from performing places like that is amazing because it's people that are really, really starved for like having entertainment and a good
totally.
time.
They
So-
want to go out and see, like, and get
Yeah.
all like dressed up and get all fancy and go have a good
Yeah,
night
but they're
out.
getting
and everything.
karaoke with their like aunt's boyfriend at a bar that you can
Yeah.
still smoke in.
So they
Well,
come
yeah,
to
there
you.
is a lot of that actually, but at the same time, it's that's the kind of people that you want to go because you can see
Yeah.
their faces light up when you play a Merle Haggard song or something like
Yeah.
that, or you go play Ray Price in the middle of Montana, and then people's eyes just like start to glow. And I've had experiences. I used to like to do this like trivia time during my sets, right, where I'd play a really obscure old country song like by Tom T. Hall or something like that. And little old ladies in the back would be like, Tom T. Hall! And I was like,
This isn't trivia,
"You're-"
Grandma.
No, and that's exactly what it was.
I love that.
And they got it, and they knew it, and they appreciated it, and it's like they have the history, they just don't often get as much of the musicianship that comes like through places like Austin.
Right.
So there's something really special about that. And it's a real grassroots thing. I tried to like remove any ego, really have humility, and say like, hey, if I'm gonna play a coffee shop in the middle of nowhere or like a dive bar, and I'm gonna do it. It's not, it's about having a good time and spreading the music, and it's returned itself, in a lot of ways.
Right, I feel like a lot of artists are like, I deserve better than this. I'm like, it's not about you. It's that
Right.
somebody coming to sit and watch you deserves you to be at your 100.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the point. Someone pays for a ticket to come see your show, you give them what they paid for, and then they'll
gotta-
come back
you
and
gotta
see you.
There's a touring comic that I know that I've worked with a couple times, John Stringer, and every time that he does a show, even if it's like 3 people in the audience or 50 people, he gives, and he's a really like physical comic. So every single time he does that, like anywhere he goes, he's given 100%. And yeah, like just what you said, like you do that every time because
Well, I
And your
forgot.
art deserves that. Your art deserves to be played at its 100.
Well, and why do
Because,
those
like,
3
that's-
people deserve less of a show? Because they're
Right.
the only 3 people that came out.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on.
We've played shows on both ends of the spectrum. We've played some bars in the middle of nowhere that for whatever reason that night nobody showed up, but those 5 people still had an awesome time. And then we played shows at a brewery in Colorado on a Saturday afternoon that's packed, and everybody still has a good time. Like you can't decide who gets a better show because you're pissed that only 3 people showed up.
And
Right.
I
No,
forget
no, yeah,
I forget who to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just saying like comics in Austin are jaded in that area. So like I'll book them for a show and there's an audience that wants to be there and they'll just shit all over their show and they're just not. They'll do crowd work and they'll just not do material and I'm like you.
They'll be like, that show sucked. I'm
shouldn't
like,
be
no,
like
you
that.
suck.
And it's hard to do.
Be
It's,
nice.
it's hard to get out of your own head. And I guess I forget who I attribute this quote to, but somebody said like play every show like you're playing Carnegie Hall, and I think that's
Oh, I like
you know
that.
that's excellent, and it's true. There's certainly times in my mind where that's harder than others. But
Actually, RuPaul says every time I go on stage, I tell myself, Mama's living room, because it didn't matter if I came out there and like barfed into my purse. She was going to think it was the best thing
that's
ever.
cool. Yeah.
So,
So
he's like,
same
yeah, if you feel
thing.
bad about it. Instead
Carnegie
of
Hall,
Carnegie
Mama's
Hall,
living room, yeah.
Mama's living room. Carnegie Hall, if you're feeling fancy, Mama's living room if you're feeling down on
You
yourself.
said it and she said it a little bit better with RuPaul in
Yeah,
the mix.
well,
yeah,
Yeah.
RuPaul's it's a lot more sexy than
Yeah,
Carnegie Hall.
like fight me that she's not the spiritual leader we all need. What is a pre or post, your pre and post show? Do you have like rituals?
You know, I've been trying to warm my voice up more frequently. I typically will get it done in the car. Once I'm at a venue, and my other fiddle player Jackson, who's up in Laramie, I need
We
to
don't
drive.
talk about him.
I need to.
No, he's a great dude. I like that guy.
He's a very great guy, great player. And one of the things I want to drive into his head though is like when you show up to the space, like you're already the performer. You know what I mean? But I guess in his defense, like he wants to be my support. Like he wants to be the guy that helps out, stays a little bit behind the scenes, is a little more quiet. He does, however, end up talking to everybody. He likes people, but. As soon as I get out of my car, it's like I want to be already dressed and ready for the gig, and I want to be able to talk with people and hang out and, you know, put my best foot forward. And I think that's the saying, right? Is that right? Best foot forward, yeah.
It's not a RuPaul quote, but we'll take it.
But
Next time, quote RuPaul.
yeah, RuPaul.
Have you learned
RuPaul
nothing?
As RuPaul would say,
One foot in front of the other.
the hand is on the other foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Ivanka Trump tweeting a Chinese proverb today. Anybody see that? Sorry,
I
no, that
didn't
was great.
know.
Google it. It's hilarious.
I
It is
avoid the news.
not.
The Chinese proverb that wasn't a Chinese
It
proverb.
wasn't a
at
Chinese
all.
proverb. Just someone tweeted it in Chinese. I don't. But it's fine. I'm so sorry for
Someone
that.
said in
That's
Chinese
current
once.
right now.
Someone said in Chinese as well, Ivanka. It's fine. I asked this question last week before we were going to do like a little mini couple of segments in between here, but I asked this question last week and I really liked it. If you ran like a summer camp for musicians, what would you teach or what would you like to see? You know, like what, Luis? It's your last show. You don't have to trash the place. Jeez. If you had a musician summer camp, like what classes would you like to be offered? What should be taught? What would you teach?
Music business 101. Like,
Boom.
That and because okay, here's the thing. I grew up obviously loving music. I've been doing this since I was 7 years old, and it has a very special place in my heart. But I think that there is an element that gets seriously neglected, and a big part of that is like how to not. It's not so much to sell and marketing yourself. I think a lot of artists are pretty good at the promotional side. I think the things that really bite people in the ass is going to be finances, like budgeting, like keeping those things in check. And that's something that even now I still don't have a full grasp on, but I'm trying to like figure out, okay, what is cost effective? What's going to work? And that sounds so not sexy, but like, but man, you think about
You're
something.
talking to an accountant. Right
Oh, there
here.
you go.
Oh,
Great.
he's like,
And
that's his sweaty
no,
moment.
I mean,
No, you're
it-
getting me excited, but not everyone else.
Dude, let's talk about some
Continue.
ROIs.
So RuPaul
Yeah.
said that in accounting.
Continue. We were talking.
back
We were
to
talking
it.
about
Yeah.
finances.
Yeah. But I do. I think it's incredibly valuable. You know, I haven't had one of those years that's going to like, you know, put money in the savings account yet, but it certainly allowed me to continue funding music. And it started off in a place where I was accepting $850 guarantees for the whole month. Like,
Yeah.
that's nothing. And my first year going on tour, I remember like going broke, and I had to camp out like in a tent because I couldn't afford a place to stay outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. Was like looking for coins and stuff in my car so I can like get a bag of Doritos or something. And you know, people have it way worse than that, but I remember being at that low point sitting in that tent, and I was like just hungry and depressed, and I was like, I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
Although
So-
he wrote his best song, in my opinion, his best song after that.
In that tent?
Yep. Swear to God,
Yep.
his best song.
In Dorito dust?
Yep.
Because that would have been
Dorito
so
dust.
dramatic.
It's called Fit. Everybody go look it up. It's called
It
Fit.
takes you to a dark place.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
My
a
favorite
dark
song.
place is a place without Doritos. It's a really dark place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in a tent.
I think music like the business market. I mean, like it's not hard to get good at social media, I guess, in this day. I mean,
Right.
it's difficult. Those are actual jobs. I shouldn't
Yeah.
denote that, but it is easier to sell yourself with those platforms. But it is hard to understand how, like you said, show up to a gig already in present form. This is my
Yeah, and
spiel.
also being kind to your audience.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of artists that are blessed with the opportunity to perform music, and like the least they can do is go into the audience and talk to the people and shake their hands and tell them like, hey, the reason I make music is so I can connect with folks like you, and
Yeah.
that's what I try to do. You know, there's times where I'm in a bad mood and maybe don't want to talk with people, but those are the people that are going to support you, and you know, you got to make those lasting connections. So, to answer your question, I guess it'd be like self promotion in the vein of like one-on-one interaction, interpersonal communication, finance, and yeah, I get logistics too. That's a big one.
You just all one thing.
Planning tours. Yeah.
That'd be the one class that nobody goes to. Like finance. Let's go smoke weed on the beach.
And then I'd hire.
And I'm sitting in the front row.
And then I'd hire like I'd hire Victor Wooten or something to come and just do here. You do the theory stuff. I'll talk the business.
You do the theory. That's genius.
So.
We have a couple of segments
Oh,
that
cool.
we're working out. Luis,
Uh-oh.
kick it off.
I'll do a
Dollface.
quick little. This segment is called "Welcome to the Music Business. You're effed," and they're quick little multiple choice questions that I shoot at you first. One that comes to your head. If you wanted to add another instrument to this ensemble, just to be fancy, would it be A, stand-up bass, B, washboard and spoon, or C, an old prospector blowing into a jug?
C.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was
C.
gonna say B until you said Old Prospector,
Yeah.
and then I was like that one.
You had me at
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
You had me at Old Prospector.
Prospector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
You
next-
said blowing into a jug. I thought you were gonna say like blowing shit up or something.
Well, I really thought you were like
Which I
old
would've had
prostate
anyway.
problems. I'm
Yeah.
like, who? What? Oh my God. And then went dark.
So you're one for one. That was the correct answer.
I'm glad.
Give me a cold beer and put on A, Garth, B, Keith, or C, Alan Jackson.
Alan. C. Alan.
You're
Jackson.
2 for 2. That's
All right.
That's the classic.
You win.
Don't rock the jukebox.
Yeah, dude.
all right. You can say only one. Is it A, Buddy Holly, B, Richie Valens, or C, The Big Bopper?
We're gonna disagree
Well-
on this one. I bet.
Ooh, fight, fight, fight.
Or you and I are Latino, so I'm going with Richie Valens.
Richie. It's
Yeah.
gotta be
Yeah.
Richie.
It's gotta be Richie.
I'm saying Buddy Holly.
Well, you got the wrong answer. I got the right answer.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
You
You're
are
not
the
playing.
weakest link.
You're
Goodbye.
No, this one's actually for Ben and also a little bit Becky.
Okay.
This is a Jewish joke.
This one's you are coming to see me perform stand-up comedy. A, Craftsman on the 18th. B, at Hops and Grain on 6/21 with Claude Ramey hosting. Or
Yo.
C, I'd see you at an open mic. I'm your #1 fan. XOXO.
Oh.
Are we gonna be dicks if we don't say C?
Well, I was actually going to go see him at Craftsman on Monday.
This
so
Monday?
I can go see that.
I've been telling him for like the last 3 weeks I was gonna come see him on Mondays.
It's honestly,
Several weeks.
Yeah, that's what I was the last several.
that's
weeks.
the only Kansas City bar in Austin. It's the only place you can watch a Chiefs game and a Royals game at.
Really.
But sometimes they kick me out on Mondays for the Chiefs game. And I'm like,
And I'm walking into my full garb. I'm like, oh shit! I told you I'm on my way. You're right. Got to go to my knitting circle. This is not my knitting circle. I'm so
That was
sorry.
a great plug, by the way. I'm not gonna let you slip.
That was
Come on,
good.
self promotion.
I like it.
That was genius.
that's all my bit is.
Yeah. So go see him at Craftsman and go see him. What the
Yeah,
second
Fort
one
Tab?
was Fort Tab.
At Hops and Grain.
Hops
It's
and
called-
Grain.
The show's
That's right.
called Gut Busters. It's every Thursday at Hops and Grain.
So you said, and Monday nights you do stuff too?
Monday night.
He's
comedy.
playing this Monday night.
Yeah, when we're coming up. Okay, cool. All right, no
Music
taking.
firsthand family.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what we do. Thank you so much.
So I
love
know what's
that segment.
coming, but I
Oh.
need another cider.
Oh.
Please
Uh-oh.
and thank
Oh
you.
yeah, because
What
we're
are
gonna
we
play
chugging?
Never Have I
Yeah,
Ever.
we're playing
Oh.
that.
It's a
I
drinking
love
game.
this game.
Yeah. By the
Ah.
way, I
need-
called
I
my
don't know how I
mom
feel
today.
about this.
Because we used to do Linda Mom questions every week, where my mom would send in questions and I would ask them because my mom thinks that I was bad at my job. Well, I called her today and she remembered that it was Tuesday and she's like, oh, you're right, it's Tuesday. I'm not going to have questions for you. I'm sorry. And I was like, you haven't had questions for the last 2 months. Have you been watching? Like, my mom's just not watching. So I'm shouting out to my mom right now for not watching my segments anymore. On that note, this is Never Have I Ever.
don't need
Y'all
you,
know
Linda.
it.
All right,
I know,
let's see.
but we do. Please,
We got-
rent's coming up.
We got ciders coming.
It's on its way.
Do we shout out to
It's on
Eastsiders?
its way.
Ooh, shout out to
Shout out
Eastsiders
to Eastsiders.
and Brenda.
I want to do the Dale Watson thing. Have you ever seen him play live, like Lone Star?
Oh,
He like does it.
didn't
But
even
this
do
is
the-
not
I didn't
Lone
give
Star
you
though.
the
This is
nutritional
Eastsider.
ingredients.
You want to get one?
It's got alcohol in it.
150 calories for 12 ounces.
Oh,
Okay.
wait. There, you got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're staging the pics. Eastsiders was a great place. If you've never been
Man,
in there for
hey,
a show, the place
It
is
hasn't
cool.
been open since I've been back.
That place
so
is legit. We were there
Wanna
last
go check
week.
it out?
That place is awesome.
do it.
It's a great place to play.
We'll
too.
go
You
watch
get a
you
little set.
do comedy, and then we'll head that way.
Yeah.
You wanna go?
Oh, we have a date planned. Okay. Never have I ever. For Mr. Bo Depeña. Never have I ever drunk dialed an ex-girlfriend.
Oh, dude, come on.
I know. That's like, that one's not fair. Because it's 2018 and who's
I
not?
feel like I've probably been there for one of those when you did that.
Probably.
Yeah.
And Ben was going, do
Yeah.
it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do
A
it.
really good friend.
Ben
Burn
really
the
liked
bridge,
one of my
burn the bridge.
ex-girlfriends.
Ben's like, what ex-girlfriend? I'm your current girlfriend. Never have I ever vandalized public property.
Oh wait, public property. No.
He was like, nope, that doesn't count.
Private property.
Drawing dicks on your friend's face is not public property. Never have I ever had food poisoning on tour.
Oh, that happened the other day actually.
The other day, see, I asked that question last week, and Mike St. Clair was like, "Oh, that happens all the time."
I had
What are you
nachos.
eating?
It was the last. It was the last day of the tour.
Oh,
and
no.
And guess where I stayed that night? My girlfriend's place.
No,
Yeah.
can't have. That's not a sexy situation.
No, it wasn't. No.
That's like a. Are we at the next level situation? Are
She
you
was
gonna?
cool with it.
Was
She's
it-
good. She's very.
Was it coming out of both ends or just?
It almost did.
Oh.
It almost did.
She's in there
What are we
holding your
talking about?
hair.
What?
Key change. Okay, never
Yeah.
have I ever
Key change. I love that.
thrown up on or off stage.
Off stage.
Like, did you have to
That
like run off
encompasses a lot of-
stage?
oh,
Like,
got
in
it.
general.
I was like,
You barfed
yeah.
on an audience
It's
member.
like there's a lot of off stage.
We're like, yeah, I barfed
Well,
in
you're
the
either
parking lot.
ever
What are you
always
talking about?
on stage or off stage. Like those are the only two states.
That is a Chinese proverb, I think.
Yeah.
Actually.
All right.
You are
so
the
notes
on stage.
on stage, I don't believe I have. Have you?
I haven't. No.
You get food poisoning, but you can't. All right, fine.
Yeah.
We're just a little.
No, no, no.
But
Probably
have you ever
thrown
peed
up.
your
I've probably
pants?
thrown up after a show.
On
Like,
stage?
Yes.
On stage.
Not on stage.
Really?
I like how he clarified. Not
I
on
need
stage.
I need at least one person when I ask that question to drink with me because that's not.
Well, it's because you don't interview like Iggy Pop or something. Like you need to like.
And in fairness, I'll add something. So probably a pretty common stage event that does happen is crop dusting. Like that absolutely.
That's
like
a for sure thing.
that is yeah.
That's a for sure
Ben
thing
has
that has
certainly
happened.
been crop dusted by me.
Ben's like, you don't know the horror.
Well, because the first time we went on a little tour together, we played like 5 shows, and it was me, Curtis, and Bo. And the bluegrass style is you play around one microphone. So like everyone's just playing, and then when you take your solo, you kind of like you step into the microphone and you play your solo and you walk back. So like every song, you got people just crossing your path. So like it almost became like a who can crop dust the worst sort of deal.
I remember.
messed
I remember the Carbondale specifically in
Yeah,
Colorado.
it was
That was
so
the one.
bad.
That was a crazy show. Ugh.
It just sounds like you put an extra reverb into the song.
Hey, yeah, something like that.
You're like,
you can be a rhythm section if you can time it right.
aw, boys, boys.
What are we talking about?
You're
There's
asking
people-
me a question.
Okay, all right.
Hi, Mom.
Hey, Mom. Okay, never have I ever failed to file taxes.
Nope.
He would
Mr.
be
Music Business
responsible.
over here.
I know.
That'd be the wrong guy.
He's
Yeah.
over here like, nope. Never have I ever pulled an all-nighter. That one's dumb because everybody has.
Of course.
Like if you haven't, you either had, I don't know, narcolepsy or no friends.
Opposite narcolepsy.
Yeah.
All-nighter.
No. Yeah. Oh.
Oh, yeah, you're right, you're
got
right,
it.
you're right, you're
Cool.
right.
We're teaching the
By the way-
children
Right here.
today.
Thinking
By the
of
way, I like
insomnia.
that Brett's also playing and he's like not even on camera. He's just like,
This is a
Part
game
of the-
for everybody.
Everybody
all
should be
playing,
playing.
right?
You
It's a game
mean
for
nobody
everybody.
else is playing? What the hell, guys?
Get drinks in your
We can't be the
hands.
only 4
Come
people
on.
in this room.
Right? We need Brian to talk some more drunk shade on Facebook. Okay,
a
the last
fight.
one. Never have I ever sang a song about a person that was in the room with them.
Oh, dude, I got a story.
He's got a great story.
Ooh,
So,
yes, this is the one I
we
wanted.
won't play this song tonight, but we so
We may play it after for the VIP.
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
cool. So when I was living in New York, I was living in Brooklyn, and I was seeing a girl who lived in Harlem, and we had a kind of a tumultuous relationship, kind of rocky, and I guess she was not the kind of girl to settle down, and so she gave me a lot of material to work with, to say the least, and she was kind of the cheating type.
Ooh,
But she was a nice girl. She and I are friends now.
fair.
But
After you sang a song about
but at the time, I was listening to a lot of old, like, traditional folk music, and there's a type of folk ballad called a murder ballad. So I decided to put my mind into that mental space and make a kind of ironic, dark song. Because they have upbeat melodies and they're all nice to listen to, but they have dark lyrics. So I put a song together called Harlem Blue Yodel, and the night I debuted it, she showed up at the set.
Oh no!
Yeah, and so I played the gig, played the song apprehensively, and she came up to me after the set and she goes, "Hey, that song, Harlem Blue Yodel. I think that's my favorite song you've ever written."
And you were like,
So she
just what
loved
I
it, yeah.
thought from the. No, that's what you should do. Like, if you date narcissists, write songs about them and then just like make them sound really like put their name in it, but then like do that whole cutting. You're saying nice things because it's a nice song, but just awful, awful
Like
shit.
a
Right.
compliment sandwich or something. Like,
Yes.
you're pretty cool, you suck, but
And like all the
in a good
underlying
way.
message are like die in a fire. we have some more fan questions actually.
Ooh, nice.
Swear to God, if it's about my sound abilities, I'm
No,
quitting.
actually,
all-
Rose Ramirez is playing Never Have I Ever.
Oh.
Thank you. For Bo, what is the Queen City in the RGV?
Queen City in the RGV.
Is this a like?
Rio
That's some
Grande
code.
Valley.
The Rio Grande
Oh,
Oh,
Valley. RGV.
the Queen City.
what is the Queen City?
Queen City. So is that, well, I mean, you have,
Who asked this? Is this like a
Rose Ramirez. She was playing
Rose
Never Have I
Ramirez.
Ever. She might be drinking, y'all.
oh, that's
It's
okay.
my mom.
Tell her
She's
hello.
definitely drinking.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Mom.
The Queen City. So I mean, Laredo kind of borders like is the kind of the northern end of the valley, and then you got the Rio Grande Valley down to the south. So I mean, you got Brownsville would be the biggest city down in that area, if that's what they're referring to. But then the thing that's confusing about that is that you have Laredo and then its sister city, Nuevo Laredo, which is actually bigger. So that would technically be the king, and Laredo would be the queen. I don't know. That's a good question, Rose Ramirez. I'm gonna have to ask
like
you that
that one.
myself. Yeah.
Also, Alice Evans says hello! 2 exclamation points. I love a double exclamation.
Hello, Alice Evans.
Just so you know. Dun, dun. I mean the extra effort. Eddie Villarreal. Bo.
Eddie Villarreal.
Oh my God! I was like,
yeah.
"There's no accents here." I was like, "It's the whitest thing I've ever said."
I'll take this.
I ate
one.
mayonnaise for breakfast.
What's up, Eddie? What's going on?
Do you want, sweetie, do you
Was
want
it
me to
Alice?
take
And
this one?
by the way, was that Alice Evans or Epstein?
Evans.
Evans. Okay, so hello, Alice.
I was like,
Evans.
I'm white, but I can read
Okay, cool.
somewhat, sort of.
So
Not
Eddie,
really.
what did Eddie have to say?
Eddie says, "Bo,
yeah.
I'm so embarrassed right now. Being from South Texas, what have you found to be your main inspiration for writing since moving to Colorado?"
Oh, that's good. So, I mean, like I had mentioned earlier, definitely a lot of that Freddie Fender and Texas Tornado stuff. I've had a lot of inspiration by a gentleman named Townes Van Zandt, who's among the best, if not the best Texas songwriter that have ever lived, in my opinion. Wrote Poncho and Lefty. I think really what I like, just kind of like I mentioned earlier, is that fusion of the folk music from Mexico and like the folk music in the American sense, and even country in a lot of ways is a folk style of music, or at least it should be in the proper sense. It should be a type of songs and music that connects with people, that has a story to tell. And I go up and I play places like Montana, and you would think like, oh, these are super white states and a bunch of white dudes and rednecks being at your show. But then I'll start singing songs in Spanish. I'll play like a Freddie Fender song before the next teardrop falls, and even do like Jose Alfredo Jimenez. I'll do like, Yo sé bien que estoy afuera, pero el día que yo me muera. And they'll love it. They'll just like eat it all up. And there's something really interesting about finding that connection. Those things that people can share. And I guess growing up in South Texas, I'm not going to say that there was any one particular musical influence, but it was a growing lesson of being from a place that's got this like weird mix of a culture that then can still translate out.
Yeah.
And Texas as a whole is just a place that has a lot of great songwriting. And yeah, I mean, Towns Van Zandt, Willie Nelson, you meet all the guys from the Texas Tornadoes. You got Doug Somm in it, Flaco Jimenez, and Freddie Fender. I mean, just an amalgamation of that stuff.
Do you guys want to play a couple more songs for us?
We do want to play a couple
Bam.
more. It looks like we're getting ready to
Yeah,
wrap up.
give it up for Bo Depeña, and we're going to do a couple more
Ben,
songs
would you like
for
to
y'all.
play with me? So we're gonna close this off with the title track to the new album. Thanks, Eddie, for the question, by the way. Can I throw a quick plug too? Yeah, if anybody's around the area, I'll be playing Fredericksburg on Thursday night at Hondo's on Main. Friday, the Shade Tree Saloon in Spring Branch, Texas, and then Laredo on Saturday. We're still working some details out, so for the people back in my hometown, just keep an eye out. Yeah. And this one goes out to all my Montana friends out there. This is called Montana Sky. Here we are now, watching the sun rise again. Praying for the moment we can put ourselves to sleep. Just you and me and big sky overhead. Where do we go now? Do we let the world just pass us by? Hoping that someday we will see them down the road and meet them under the Montana sky. Montana sky. No, I just can't say goodbye. I'm a lover and a leaver, but I can't leave you behind. Montana sky. Oh, the mountains make me cry. May the rivers wash me when I die. From Montana sky. Here we go again, hoping that we all can just slow down. Hoping that the winds of change don't blow it all away and leave the ashes all but scattered across the ground. Montana sky. No, I just can't say goodbye. I'm a lover and a leaver, but I can't leave you behind. Montana sky. Oh, the mountains make me cry. May the rivers wash me when I die. Through Montana sky. Here we are now, watching the sun rise again. Montana sky. No, I just can't say goodbye. I'm a lover and a leaver, but I can't leave you behind. Montana
May the rivers wash me when I die through Montana sky. Montana sky. Yahoo! Montana sky. Yahoo! One, two, three. I'm just a little singer in from Texas, trying my best to make it through. But it just ain't always fine, cruising down this life of mine. So I'm up here in Durango missing you. And I'm thinking about you in Durango, over the mountain so green. Now won't you come this way, just leave Denver for the day, and get lost here in Durango with me. I wish that we could go down to the river, drift along without a care in mind, catching fish there as we row, but we'll always let them go, so we can catch them all another time. And I'm thinking about you in Durango, over the mountain so green. Now won't you come this way, just leave Denver for the day, and get lost here in Durango with me. And if by chance I make it through the winter, I'll call you up again come summertime. Maybe we could settle down in this little mountain town. If not, I'll just keep rolling down the line. And I'm thinking about you in Durango, over the mountain so green. Now won't you come this way, just leave Denver for the day, and get lost here in Durango with me. And get lost here in Durango with me.
Keep it going.
Thank you.
Oh, Depeña.
Woo! Bo and Ben.
What a good time.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining us. We have
Thank
one
you.
more fan question.
One last
Oh,
fan
cool.
question
Yeah.
from Rosina Cristoforo. It's hi.
Hi.
That's all it is. It's just hi.
Hi.
Hi. Who inspired you to be who you are?
Man, honestly, I'm gonna give a shout out to my mom. My mom, my dad and my mother split. My dad obviously had a big influence on my life, but there's something. My mother raised 3 kids, for the most part when we were growing up, and despite the fact that she looked at music with some reservation, she's been, super successful in allowing me to do what I do. And her and my grandmother both did a lot to contribute. So. Yeah,
Shout out to
that's-
moms.
That's good.
I
Shout
feel
out to
the
moms.
same way
Yeah.
about my mom. She's
Moms
one
are
of
the
the
best.
strongest women that I know.
To raise a comedian and a musician.
musician, yeah, it
It's a
takes a lot of courage, that's
strong
for sure.
ladies.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining
yeah.
us. We actually have something sad to kind of end this on, which sounds
Aw.
Oh no.
terrible.
Not sad.
It's yeah, because you're gonna go on and do bigger, better things. I feel like my son's
Don't
graduating.
cry because it's over. You smile because it happened.
Let Ivanka Trump retweet that. I don't need.
Booed.
Just got booed. It is unfortunately my co-host Luis's last show with us. Until we steal him for like a random guest appearance, I'm so sure.
Yeah, I'm like down the street, kind of. Just let me know if you need me.
That's who's been sleeping under my porch, son of a. No, it's been a pleasure to have you. It's really awesome. I'm so excited to see what you do.
Well wishes to Luis.
Yeah.
Cheers, man.
Cheers. 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 Not you, Ben. There we go. But there is something kind of cool that's happening. Is you're going to get a new friend, He's here with us tonight. If you guys like to meet him, I don't know if you want to can we have some round of applause and we can meet Mr. Claude Ramey, everybody?
Ramey.
Come on in. I'm literally just gonna stand and you can take my seat. Now I feel like Wendy Williams now. Welcome. We're gonna play a game. Would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Hi, I'm Claude Ramey, and I'm going to be in that chair next week.
That's how you do that. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody, tonight. Luis, would you like to sign us off for your last time?
Thank you guys for coming out. This has been comedians interviewing musicians. Can I try that again? This has been comedians interviewing musicians. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.